Hey everybody, welcome back to the Sound Off podcast. I am Mr. Sound Off, and in this podcast, this video here today, this is my week 3 power rankings for the NFL. Hope you guys have been enjoying the channel so far. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends, all those kind of good things there. Share, all those things. Tell people to start supporting the channel. Get me some sponsors, that'd also be nice, of course, as well. But without further ado, I'm going to get going into the week 3 of the power rankings. Wasn't able to do week 2 last week, but you can go back and see my week 1 power rankings. I also put out another video as well here today as far as my picks goes for this weekend's game, starting with the Bills game, the Dolphins and Bills game here tonight. But here are my rankings for the NFL season, week 3 style here. Starting, of course, from the bottom, we work our way up. Work our way up to the top. We'll go with number 32. Starting out there at the bottom is the New Orleans Saints here. It's crazy to think again that they were considered to be one of the best teams in the NFL last year through the first 2 weeks. Everyone was talking about how great they were, how much points they're scoring. Really goes to show you what your team can look like when you're playing against poor competition, all right? Because they've been bad basically ever since that point last season, and they're even worse now without Derek Carr, of course. So 32 is the Saints. Number 31 is the Carolina Panthers. Number 30, I think that this could change because he's just a rookie and he's just kind of getting his feet underneath him. But for now, I got the Titans there at number 30. 29, I do still think that this team can play a lot better than what they are playing, but I'm now starting to worry that their defense is really not that good, and if their offense is not like carrying it like they have in years past, then they're going to be a pretty bad team all year long. That'd be those Miami Dolphins. Number 28. Cleveland Browns, at least they do have a good defense. Didn't look like it last week against the Ravens, but Lamar and the Ravens do that to a lot of people. So, we'll see here with them. I think it's going to be an interesting matchup going up against the Packers because, again, like I said in my other video, maybe a trap game for the Packers playing against the Browns here in this game. You got the Packers playing against the Cowboys next week. You have the Packers with a whole bunch of injuries, and the Browns known for their defense, really. It's going to be in Cleveland. A whole lot of things there going for Cleveland. Why this could be a tougher game for the Packers than possible there. Possibly another trap game, but a get right, I think, game for the Kansas City Chiefs versus this team here and the New York Giants. I think the Giants, have a good solid defense. I don't think the Russ is going to throw for 400, 500 yards like he did last week. I think they're going to be kind of one of those bottom teams throughout the whole year. After that, you have the Jets, another New York team, back-to-back New York teams actually there. And Justin Fields, maybe he found a place. If Justin Fields can all of a sudden turn it up, I mean, the skills are there. He can throw the ball hard. He can run fast, right? Can he throw the ball accurately? Can he pick the right receiver to get the ball to? I'm actually not even a huge Garrett Wilson fan. I think that his footwork is pretty sloppy. Is pretty bad. It's like you look at it, it's like I don't see anybody else, any other like wide receivers, good ones, catch balls the way that he does or land the way that he does, those kind of things there. So, interesting to see there. And I think their defense is not as good as it was a couple years ago. So, got the Jets there. 25, I have the Chicago Bears. What's going on with Caleb? We have a new head coach there. I actually think more than anything, a lot of people are not talking about is the Chicago Bears defense actually kind of letting them down, right? They had defensive coaches for years there. Maybe those coaches were making those players, making that defense be as good as they could possibly be. All of a sudden, those guys are gone. Maybe the player's a little bit older, those kind of things there. They spent a lot of draft on the offensive side of the ball, on obviously Caleb Williams, but then offensive linemen, tight ends, wide receivers in the last few drafts, really stacking up on the offensive side of the ball. And if you do that, your defense is going to start slacking at some point. If you don't have great defensive coaching in there, you're going to see that. And so, are they going to continue giving up a whole bunch of points per game? That's going to keep them back there, or else Caleb's going to have to start turning it up just to cover up for that defense. Number 24, we have the Jaguars. 23, we have the New England Patriots, the most new players on one team. They had a ton of money. They went and got in a whole bunch of free agents on their team. I think that team maybe can get better as the year goes along, as they start getting more used to each other. Drake May, it's his second year. He didn't start at the beginning of last year as well. So, this is rookie year 2.0 kind of for him. He didn't have as many starts as Caleb or some of these other guys did. Jay Daniels did last year. So you're going to see if he starts turning it around for the Patriots there at 23. 22, the Las Vegas Raiders. A whole lot of good things. I think the Raiders really are in a tough division, have tough opponents, those kind of things there, but are really one of the more improved teams in the NFL, I feel like, from last year. I mean, as far as head coach, running back, quarterback, I think their defense is still not there where it needs to be. I think the offensive line is not where it needs to be, so unfortunately that's probably going to keep them behind there. Pittsburgh Steelers at 21. I think what's interesting there is everyone talks about the Steelers. Of course, they should. It's been the Pittsburgh Steelers' basically motto for years and years. But last quarter of last season, they weren't very good on defense. So far, they're giving up a ton of points as well on defense. So that's going to make it a whole lot tougher for Aaron Rodgers coming into a team that's not known for having a very good offensive line, not known for having a good running game. Really not a whole lot of other weapons besides tight end at the wide receiver group. That's why I wish they would have kept Pickens there, although Pickens I know kind of had some of his issues and stuff like that, but they need another really good number 2 wide receiver behind Metcalf for the Steelers, because I don't know if they're going to be able to score enough points for their defense until their defense really does turn it around and start doing a whole lot better. Cincinnati Bengals, I'm a big Jake Browning fan. Comes from down the street here in Folsom. One of my rival high schools playing against back in the day, but I think Jake is one of the better or underrated backup quarterbacks in the NFL, but he's still not Joe Burrow, and that whole team was predicated off of them scoring a ton of points because their defense is horrible. Now all of a sudden Joe Burrow's not there. Even if Jake Browning is good, very good, Joe Burrow had an MVP type season last year, and they still didn't make the playoffs because that defense was so bad. So, I can see that team sticking around that area there, maybe even going down from there, that kind of thing there. After that, we have the Dallas Cowboys. I said it in my week 1. I think they're kind of a dark horse team. I think a lot of people count them out, especially after the Micah trade. I still do think that they're one of the more talented offenses in the NFL, but I could relate them to the Bengals of last year. Are they going to score 30, 35 points a game or something like that, 37 points a game, and their defense is still going to be giving up the same 30 to 40 points per game? That might be them all season long. It might be tough for them to find too many games where they're allowing the opponents less than 20 points or less than 24, 25 points in a game. So the offense is going to have to keep tearing it up. They're going to play against teams that have good defenses that are going to stall them a little bit. They're going to play against other really good offenses that are going to even tear it up more than Russ did, throwing for 400, 500 yards against them last week. So I could see them raising. I don't really think they're going to go much lower than this on this list throughout this year at 19 for the Dallas Cowboys. At 18, we have the Houston Texans. I got to start seeing something from C.J. Stroud and really picking it up. He hasn't really quite been the same all of last year and so far this year as he was in that rookie campaign. I like, and this is where I kind of brought up a comparison between like him and like Jayden Daniels and a lot of quarterbacks, really, for that matter, in their year 2, where NFL defenses start to figure them out. Sure, the Texans on offense have had some players, some wide receivers get dinged up, those kind of things there, so he doesn't have all of his weapons. But I mean, he has plenty enough tools there, both in his own tool belt and the team's tools to get it going on offense. The nice thing is they have a very good defense. So, if he starts playing again more closely like he did in year 1 than he is so far in year 2 and 3, they're going to climb exponentially up here from this list from number 18. Number 17, we have the Arizona Cardinals. Look out for them throughout this year here. Again, what kind of year is their quarterback going to have? Is he going to bring him up, or is he going to keep him there? I also don't see the Cardinals really dipping down much lower than this here. The Washington Commanders, speaking of Jayden Daniels and those quarterbacks in that year 2, are we seeing, is this because of Terry McLaurin and their contract negotiations, the holdouts, those kind of things there in the offseason? Is Jayden a little dinged up? Is Jayden starting to get figured out here in year 2? We're going to have to see those things throughout this. They're also the oldest team in the NFL. right? That starts to take its toll at some point, and they brought in more older players throughout this year. The Packers, 3 years in a row being the youngest team in the NFL. That's not necessarily always the greatest thing to be the youngest team, but what's crazy is this 3 years in a row of being the youngest team. They've been in the playoffs the last 2 years. Right? They actually got rid of, a Pro Bowl defensive tackle and Kenny Clark, which is an awesome player, an awesome teammate, awesome guy, and Kenny Clark. But then they brought in a younger, even better Micah Parsons, all right, for that position. So they even got younger with experience. That's exponentially good. So, they're kind of the opposite side of the spectrum from the Green Bay Packers. But, again, if Jayden Daniels starts playing out of his mind again, kind of like he did last year, they'll also raise up from there. Number 15, I have the Seattle Seahawks. I think their defense is a little underrated as well. They have that home field advantage up there in Seattle, so a solid team up there too. Which quarterback are we getting with Sam Darnold? I think they have a good running game, some good receivers out there too. So a good solid team there. They can climb from there. Minnesota Vikings, that's a tough one. All of a sudden now J.J. McCarthy's injured again. They're staying out for 2 to 4 weeks. So, are we getting the J.J. McCarthy we got for literally only one quarter, which made him the player of the week in week 1? Or are we getting the quarterback that we saw in the other 7 quarters where he's like pretty much the worst quarterback in the NFL? That's probably somewhere in between. But if he's a middle quarterback, this team all of a sudden probably slides down from even 14 spot on here. The good thing for them is really solid defense, good wide receivers. They have Addison coming back soon, good running game. So their whole team, they're one of the best built teams in all of the NFL. So J.J. McCarthy, again, doesn't have to be spectacular for them. Kind of the same with the Denver Broncos. Another guy, a lot of these quarterbacks in this list, year 2, there was 5 rookie quarterbacks last year. So Bo Nix, where's he at? Or is this team as good as everyone's been saying? There's people like Mims as a wide receiver. People have been waiting for this guy to break out for a while. When's it going to happen, or are they who they are? So the Broncos, could they climb up from here? Yeah. I also wouldn't say that they're probably going to slide too far from here. I couldn't see them probably below, 20th or something like that at their worst throughout the season. But, I also don't see them maybe up any higher than 8 or something like that there too. So Broncos there 13th. Indianapolis Colts, Shane Steichen doing a fantastic job. Shane also with local ties here, friends and family in the area, also coached at probably even one of my bigger rival high schools back in the day here, and it was a great coach. And is coaching up Danny Dimes, turned him all of a sudden into Indiana Jones for the Indianapolis Colts. Are the 2025 version of the New Orleans Saints, though. Remember when I was talking about the Saints played 2 horrible teams beginning of the season last year, tore it up. Is that the Colts? And now all of a sudden, week 3, I think they're playing the Titans, I believe, right? So they're playing another bad team. They're probably going to win this game as well. They're going to be, I believe, 3-0 at the end of this week. So they're better than the Saints were, I think, from last year. I don't necessarily know if they're going to be this like top 10, top 8 powerhouse team throughout the year. But if there's somebody that can get the best out of Daniel Jones and his offense, it is Shane Steichen. And I do think their defense is a little underrated as well. So that's why I have them so high. At number 11, San Francisco 49ers. They might lose this game this weekend. Brock Purdy might not play in this game. Brock Purdy might be out even a couple weeks, few weeks, those kind of things there. I think Brock Purdy is an underrated quarterback as well. I think their defense, young but good. They got Salah back over there. They still have a bunch of tools on offense. Some of those guys are dinged up as well right now. Like those guys all come back. Everyone starts playing the way they should. I think the 49ers are, again, one of those more solidly built teams in all of the NFL. So, could they dip down with a loss after this week? Yeah. Do I see them ever going below like 15th or something like that in the season? Remember, at the start of the season, they had the easiest schedule out of any team in the NFL. So they'll be able to start stringing along a whole bunch of wins here as well. And they're already 2-0, right? So number 11 there for the 49ers. At number 10, it's really tough for me to take the Chiefs out of at least the top 10, even though they are 0-2. I think it's going to be a get-right game for them versus the New York Giants. I think the Giants are going to actually be a tough matchup for them. I think the Giants have solid defensive interior linemen, edge rushers, all those kind of things there. They're going to make it tough for for the Chiefs here in this game. I think it's going to be, kind of a last-minute late drive for the Chiefs to actually win this game. I think they'll pull it off. They'll start maybe getting some guys coming back. They'll start gelling more, those kind of things there. And the Chiefs will probably start climbing back up on these tiers here a little bit. But if they lose this game to the Giants, they're for sure out of my top 10, but not ready to do that quite yet. At number 9, we have the Detroit Lions. I think week 1, they played against kind of a buzzsaw in the Green Bay Packers. They had Micah coming in. The Lions had lost their offensive coordinator, all those kind of things there. I don't think the Lions are ever going to be as bad as they were week 1 against any team in the NFL the whole rest of the season. I don't know necessarily if they're going to score 35, 40 points a game or something like that, like they did last week or like they did a lot of last season, but I still do think they're a very solid offense. I'm not quite so sure how their defense is, and yes, they did also lose their defensive coordinator as well. So I have to see exactly where the Lions are going to be going forward from here. And then at number 8, a team that I've been high on, a lot higher than a lot of people, is the Atlanta Falcons. I think their defense is for real. I think they have just top-notch playmakers at every level. I think they have one of, if not the best running backs in football. They have that Pitts at tight end that hasn't put up numbers, but he still has the ability there. They have London. They have wide receivers out there. They have one of the highest drafted offensive lines, first round picks, offensive lines out there in the NFL, and they went and got 2 edge rushers this year to shore up their defense. Don't sleep on the Falcons. I think they're going to be a really solid, great team throughout this entire season. They gave the Bucs a run for their money in week 1. And I thought, the Falcons are a young team. They're going to have to put it together. So I did pick the Bucs to win that game. But I do think that they could eventually possibly take over the Bucs for that division. Not sure if it's yet. I have at number 7, those Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I always say it. I think one of the best solidly built teams for years now, even before Tom Brady came there. They were game away from missing out on the playoffs with a quarterback that had the most turnovers in NFL history with Jameis Winston, right? Jameis Winston on there. And then, of course, Brady comes there. He brings in a whole bunch of players. They win the Super Bowl. They have a winning mentality, and a lot of those players are still there from those Bucs teams. So I think they're solid. I think Baker's actually playing phenomenally as well. I get a little worried that he might get one of these injuries one of these days because just the way he plays, but I love watching it. So the Bucs at number 7. Number 6, the LA Rams. I think in my original rankings, I had them quite a bit lower than this, but again, that was also because the back problems for Matthew Stafford. There were contract talks with him. He wasn't practicing at all. I still think the Rams, if Matthew Stafford is healthy, is in this range. They're a top 7, top 5 team in the NFL. All of a sudden, Matthew Stafford gets injured. They're maybe a top 15 team. I think Sean McVay's also one of the best coaches out there in the NFL. I think there's still a playoff team even without Matthew Stafford being on there. But they're looking good, and their defense is also looking really good too. So, they're number 6 there with a huge matchup against the Eagles. That's going to have a whole lot of pecking rights here going forward, for the power rankings into week 4 after this weekend's games. Number 5, we have the LA Chargers. I think they're looking great on both sides of the ball. I think I was worried that Herbert wasn't going to be allowed to throw the ball as much as what they're doing. And thankfully, they are allowing him to throw the ball because he's one of the best passers in NFL. Maybe he doesn't always make the greatest reads and those kind of things there, but as far as being able to deliver the ball, throw the ball, he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. And the nice thing is they can take some chances because they have a really good defense over there. So Chargers at number 5. Number 4, we have the Baltimore Ravens. Lamar is playing out of his mind again. It's another MVP type season. It's already looking like, and they've only played 2 games. The thing that I worry about for this team that everyone's talking about how great their roster is that defense gave up a ton of points versus the Bills in week 1. Much better against the Browns, but there's the Browns. But I'm not sure exactly how great they are on the defensive side of the ball here. Plus, they just make a lot of weird plays, decisions. They lose a lot of games they shouldn't lose, those kind of things there. So I have them at 4+. It's tough to put you above the team that just beat you 2 weeks ago and the Buffalo Bills. So I have the Bills there at number 3. Kind of similar teams, really. Maybe not how they play exactly, but just as far as both those teams, the Bills and the Ravens, not exactly sure about their defenses. Both those teams have absolute studs at quarterbacks. The Ravens run the ball a whole lot more than the Bills do, obviously. The Bills' young receiving group all of a sudden coming along here. I think that's going to be a big thing for the Bills throughout the season there, but it's going to be a fun thing to watch those teams there battle out in the AFC. At number 2, I have my Green Bay Packers. And that means that, I had to put them at 2 because there's still number 1 that I say you win the Super Bowl, and it's hard to knock you down from that peg there. But I have my Green Bay Packers, who are playing great. Their defense is looking phenomenal. That Micah addition is really paying off here so far. I'm interested to see in some game where the defense is not tearing it up, if the Packers offense opens it up more, and if Jordan Love can have a 40-point game, all of a sudden playing against like a Bills, a Ravens, the Lions, some of these teams out there that can just put up a ton of points. If needed, can Jordan Love be in a shootout with a team if the defense is not playing, lights out? So far, Packers kind of get up to a lead. They just coast. They just tell Jordan Love, okay, just don't turn the ball over. Like that, I would say let's test him out in these games where we think that we have in the bag, and have him aired out and just full throttle, be trying to score points, because you are going to run into some of these games at some point during the season. And it's always kind of tough to, just crank it up and expect that you're going to score 30, 40 points in a game when you've been constantly scoring mid-20s or something like that all season long. So, I'd like to see that from my Packers, but still, we're playing phenomenal. I'm a little worried this week again. Like I said, it is a trap game against the Browns. They got the Cowboys the week after, so you know who Mike is already looking at that calendar at. Tucker Kraft, our tight end, looks like he just got injured today in practice. Hopefully it's not too bad, but he might be out of this game now all of a sudden. They're already out 2. They're starting offensive linemen. Jaden Reeves got hurt last week, got surgery done, so they're pretty banged up heading into this game here. And the Browns are again known for the defense, so I think it's going to be a tough game for the Packers. Actually, I still do think that they pull it off, but that's where I have my Packers right now, is at number 2, and the Eagles. Again, you're at number 1. You won the Super Bowl last year. You continue winning games. I don't think you're winning games maybe in quite the explosive fashion that you had before, but you're still beating good teams, right? I mean, you just beat the team you just beat in the Super Bowl again, at their house there for the Eagles versus the Chiefs. I don't think they're necessarily looking fantastic on offense. I think Jalen Hurts had to play out of his mind in week 1. I don't think they played great on offense in week 2. Their defense has been poor at times, so it's going to be interesting to see exactly how they do going forward. But I have the Eagles at number 1, right? And everybody, I'm not sure if you can quite hear the dogs going nuts here, but that is my power rankings for the NFL here in week 3. Right, hope you enjoyed the video. Keep coming back. Let me know what you think of the power rankings, what I'm right, what I have right, what I have wrong. Any notes that you have for me there. It's going to be a good weekend for the football. And keep coming back. Like I said, give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, share the channel. And I hope you come back next time. Thank you guys. I'm Mr. Sound Off, and this has been Sound Off.